From the Charles River in Boston, this is the Ivy League Digital Network. Today we have men's heavyweight rowing between Harvard, Penn, Navy, and in the fifth varsity, also a guest appearance from Boston University. Alongside Dave Pereski, former Harvard oarsman, I'm Bill Spalding. Glad to be with you. Dave, a good chance for Harvard to bounce back this week after their first loss of the year against a very good Princeton team last week. It was a close loss. Today, Harvard will be the favorite in these races.
Yep. I'd say that the Navy team is always really deep and they race hard. So, the races won't be easy up and down the program today. But it should be good racing nonetheless.
This team's racing for the Adams Cup, which Harvard has dominated this series' history. You mentioned that depth of the Naval Academy. They have two boats in this fifth varsity race. Harvard has one boat in this fifth varsity 4 race, and BU sends out 2 boats. This is the only race of the day that BU will compete in. Penn does not have a team in 5V. They will race in 4V, 3V, 2V, and 1V. Let's run you through the lineup. First for Harvard, Crimson ranked 5th in the country this year, 4-1 overall. The coxswain is Jacob Russell. The stroke is Stefano Belfiore. In seat 3, Michael Yuan. In seat 2, Chris Fenaroli. And the bow is Thomas Leibowitz for the Crimson. And then for Navy, 2 boats in this race. And you mentioned a very deep roster. They have a couple hundred rowers on their roster overall. In their A boat in the Varsity 4, they have freshman Elise Odom as the coxswain. The stroke is sophomore Gage Butler. In seat 3, Caleb Robertson. Seat 2, Steve Huber, a freshman. And the bow is another freshman, Aaron Henko. In the 5th Varsity 4B boat, they have coxswain Tong Ma. The stroke is junior Terry Renfro Pihut. The seat 3 is a junior Daniel Weathers, freshman Michael Pulaski in seat 2. And the bow is Zarek Olson, another sophomore. Great conditions today, even with the light rain. This is about as warm as it's been for a Harvard heavyweight race over the last couple of years. Temperature up in the 60s this morning, and the water's pretty calm.
Yeah, no, water's much better, obviously, than last week. Last week we had quartering tailwinds up to 15 miles an hour. It was in some white caps. The water here is about as flat as you can hope for, given a busy racing schedule on a Saturday morning.
It will be a busy Charles River today. The Radcliffe women in the Beanpot against BU and MIT as well. We also saw the MIT men going head-to-head on the water earlier today as well. So it's a busy day here on the Charles, as is the norm on a Saturday in April, but it should be a good day of racing. We have 5 races coming for you on the Ivy League Digital Network, 5th varsity, all the way through 1st varsity, which is slated for 9:12 today on the Ivy League Digital Network.
Yeah, and to the weather, this is probably one of the first times the guys won't have to wear long sleeves, which I know lots of guys liked just wearing their uni because you can feel constricted, so you can just move more freely in the boat.
You've mentioned in your past races against the Naval Academy, Navy teams often start fast. So if you're rowing in this Harvard boat, what kind of mindset do you have to have knowing that you may fall behind early, but you have the stamina to catch up late?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. They're very aggressive off the start in every instance that I raced against them. And we have a start. I think we're seeing that right now. The Navy boat in the 2nd lane is coming off very aggressively, and in the 4th lane. But it looks like the Harvard guys are aware of that and hopefully going to be able to counter that.
Terrier boat at the bottom of your picture and at the top of your picture. Navy boats in the middle of your picture, and then Harvard sandwiched right in that center lane 3. Navy with an early fast start. Their A boat up top, their B boat at the bottom of your picture, out 1 and 2 so far.
And I have Harvard around 44, and they've settled down a bit. And I have Navy still a little high at 41. Just as we said, they're going to be aggressive, and it looks like the Navy boat is starting to settle now, probably a little bit later than the Harvard boat, but just goes to show how aggressive they can be. And I'd say the A boat is probably ahead by a little bit right now.
Yeah, that's the A boat up top, coxswain by Elise Odom with sophomore Gage Butler in the stroke seat. Navy's B boat with Tong Ma coxswaining and junior Terry Renfro Pihut stroking is in lane 4. And then you have the 2 BU boats currently in 3rd and 4th, and Harvard sitting in 5th as we approach the 500-meter mark. Yeah,
I think Harvard now has to dig in a little bit here. Navy has had an aggressive move. But, in 4s racing, the races are longer. There's more time to change your position in the race. And so hopefully they can take a move here. We're coming through 500 now. and ideally begin to chew back into the Navy boats.
Minute 37 through the opening 500. And this is a very inexperienced Harvard boat as well, a young boat. So just trying to get that racing experience on a day like today.
Yeah, it's important. And, I think regardless of the outcome, it'll teach them a good lesson about starting hard, just because these Navy guys have done that, and it looks like continue to push out here. I'd say at least 2 lengths of open for the B boat, maybe more for the A boat.
Navy 1 and 2, BU 3 and 4, Harvard back in 5th. Again, this is where Navy really is at its strength in these depth races, the 5th varsities, the 4th varsities, because the Naval Academy has a huge roster. Part of the reason why is that if you're a student at the Naval Academy, every season you have to participate in either a club, intramural, or varsity sport. So you get a number of athletes that decide to knock out that requirement by rowing, and they row hard for 4 years and develop into a strong senior classes. Their top couple boats are almost all juniors and seniors that we'll see later on today.
Yeah, and I think, given the number of guys that train with the Naval Academy, making the travel roster is a big deal. And so you're seeing that here. These guys have boats and boats of people below them that they've beat out to be here.
On top of their usual coursework and military work throughout the year as well. Whenever you see a service academy team, you're often awed at what their schedule is like week in and week out, as they worry about so much on the water and off the water.
Yep.
Navy with a big lead to the halfway point. 3 minutes, 12 seconds gone. A good time so far on this pretty flat water. Navy 1, and now it looks like Boston University has moved up into 2nd ahead of the Navy B boat, which is in 3rd, BU in 4th, and Harvard back in 5th.
And I have the top Navy boat at around 33, which, is a little low, but, they're showing good power here and in the lead, so you can't complain about what they're doing.
Under the bridge we go. This boat of young Harvard rowers just getting its sea legs underneath them. There was no 5 varsity race last week against Princeton or MIT, so it's been a couple weeks since they've been on the water.
Yeah, and I had Harvard going through the bridge around 34 or 35.
Now Navy with open water in the lead with its A boat. Then BU up high. BU's 2nd boat along with Navy's 2nd boat in a good battle for 3rd place right now. Harvard trying to make up some ground in 5th.
Yeah, given the way this race has evolved, it's a challenging place to be in, down by such a big margin. But these guys, as we said, they're younger guys. It sounds like there are 2 novices in the bow. It's important for them to get racing experience in and continue to spend time in boats. And so this result is obviously not the best result, but hopefully they can learn from this one.
It's the 5th varsity race today. We'll also have 4th varsity, 3rd varsity, 2nd varsity, 1st varsity. Those will all be varsity 8 races, as we'll compete for the Adams Cup at the 1st varsity level. An Adams Cup that Harvard has controlled. They have won 52 of the 79 Adams Cups. Harvard has been dominant since this series started in 1928. One of the BU boats getting a little bit wide in front of us in this 5-laned race. Navy still with a large lead into the final 500.
Yeah, it looks like they pushed out and responded to that BU move we were seeing near the bridge, but the Navy A boat is really moving along nicely here, and we've got about 5:15 through the 1500, maybe a bit short of that for the top boat.
By the way, this race may be a little bit more unique than some of the other head-to-heads. On top of the Adams Cup, which will be given up to the winner of the 1st varsity, there's also the Clothier Trophy given to the school that gets the most points, has the best results in every race of the day. So every result, 5V, 4V, 3V, 2V, and 1V factors into that result as well.
Yeah, every program wants to win every race, and so trophies like that they have for some dual races, and then they have the championship races at the end of the year. Those are can be just as important as winning the varsity.
Well, Navy's A boat, which has been pretty dominant from the start today, they took the lead right off the chute, and they've expanded, continues to build. That boat again, Elise Odom, the coxswain, Gage Butler, the stroke, Caleb Robertson in seat 3, Steve Huber in seat 2, and Aaron Henko in the bow. You have 2 plebes in that boat, 2 freshmen, Steve Huber and Aaron Henko.
Yeah, the Navy boats look strong today. That top boat is really moving nicely.
Heading towards the finishing line, 6:30 and counting. This is a really good time for a 4V 5th varsity boat early as Navy comes to the finishing stretch ahead of Boston University.
Looks like there's a bit of a fight for it with BU on the outside there.
Yep, BU trying to close strong in second. Looks like Navy's going to hold on still for first, but it is close down the stretch.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's closer than you think.
Yeah, Terriers may have really made up a gap here at the end. Wait for the flag, and it's dropped. May have been BU taking it on the inside.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, boy.
That was quite a finish from
Yeah.
Boston University. They were a couple links back early.
Yeah, no, they must have really put something down and sneaking up on the side there on us while we were focusing on that Harvard boat.
So BU and Navy neck and neck. The flag dropped right around the 6:50 mark. Navy and BU's second boats have come home, and here comes Harvard trying to finish things off. Yeah, they got their 2,000 in against competitive boats, and this young Harvard boat will make its way back to the boathouse after finishing in 7:33. Well, good first race. We'll bring you the official result when we get it between Navy and BU, neck and neck at the wire. Well, 4th varsity coming up next as you're watching Harvard, Navy, and Penn roll here on the Ivy League Digital Network.